A lot of people have been asking me to make a tutorial on how to play Valorant with the controller, so I'm going to do that right now for you guys. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is download this software called reWASD or reWASD, depending on how you want to say it. And when you're done, you should restart your computer, and you're going to get a screen like this. Just to warn you, this is paid for, and I'll show you a free method later, but you have to have a PlayStation controller or a Switch controller to do it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is click on these three lines on the top right, click add, and make your game config whatever you want it to be called. Your screen's going to look like this, and here you can bind whatever you want to whatever key. Alright, before we do that, let me just show you the settings you're going to want to use in Valorant. For your aim sensitivity, you're just going to want to set this number to 1.0 or lower. For default movement, it's still going to be run. For walk, it's going to be left shift. Alright, so for default movement mode, what you can do if you want is have a button for the left stick. So you have this on walk and you set the left stick to a button, and when you hold it down, you run like in Call of Duty. For crouch, you're going to have it on toggle because holding down the crouch button is just weird. And in equipment, for aim down sight and sniper rifle aim, you want these both on hold. Alright, so back to this, the way you're going to want to make all your binds, you just click a button on the controller, you click a button on the keyboard, it's going to set it to that button. So let's say I want the left stick to be WASD, I click WASD. I want this to be QERT, so on and so on. If you want to set a mouse button, you're going to click on it, you're going to drop down this menu, and it's all the buttons, but the mouse ones are going to be first. So you want this to be left click, and you set that to left mouse button. Alright, so if you want to shift walk with just the joystick, let me show you how to do that. You're going to click on the outside of the joystick, click on advanced settings. You're going to go over to here, you're going to bring this bar all the way up to here. You're going to click on zone, left stick low, you're going to set that to left shift. This makes it to where you can shift walk without holding any buttons, so you just use the stick. And then you push the stick all the way, you'll run, you hold it down the right way, you walk, you hold it down the lower, you run. Alright, so you're gonna want to use the right stick as mouse. You're gonna want to uncheck this box right here. Set these to whatever you're comfortable with. This is your X and Y sensitivity. I would suggest using something like 50, 25, and then in-game, just adjust it to until it's comfortable. So you're going to want to click on the stick, you're going to want to click on advanced, you're going to want to go to response, set this to custom, and now you can make your stick curve exponential, so that way it's really easy to control. Alright, so let's go over gyro. If you have a PlayStation or a Switch controller, you will see this option on the bottom right, which is your gyroscope. You're going to want to set this to mouse, uncheck this box, turn smoothing all the way down, or at least to 3, don't go higher than 3. Set these both to 15 or less or more, depending on what you want your sensitivity to be, but I'd start at 15. And next you're going to click on the preferences button. You're going to go to gamepads, gyro steering axis, set this to yaw. So what the gyro does is whenever you turn the controller, it's going to make you aim in game. So this is just like a mouse. This way you can just play normally like a shooter, you know, you use the stick and everything. Just like any shooter game. But then, when there's a person there, obviously you can't micro adjust with the stick, so you're just going to make a quick movement with the gyro to flick on his head. So he's here, he's running at you, you flick with the gyro, you know, mouse precision. Let's say you're looking here and there's a guy down here. Obviously, you're not going to push with the stick, you know, trying to hit him. You just flick with the gyro, and then you can hit the guy down here. Alright, so let's talk about what a shift mode is. What you're going to want to do is click any button that you don't need. You're going to want to click the shift mode button here, jump to shift, pick any shift layer you want. And now, while this button's held, you can click on the corresponding shift mode up here. And let's say you want this button to be the spike. So now, when you're holding down this button, this will be 4, but in your normal mode, if you just hold it down, that'll be shoot. So this will let you use a lot more buttons since you can combo everything that you can't use. Alright, so there's one more thing we have to cover. If you go to settings and you go to input devices, you're going to want to set emulate mouse mappings on behalf of whatever your gaming mouse is. So that way your controller will still work in Valorant even if your mouse is working. Alright, so here's all my binds. Here's my right stick sensitivity. Here's my gyro sensitivity. Here's my shift delay. Alright, so there's one more way to do all of this, and it's a software called DS4windows. You're going to want to get it by RayoChan7 and not Jace2King. So when you first get the software, it's going to have you download all this. You're going to want to download everything, even faker input. You don't need hit hide, but you have to get faker input. You don't need this if you're on Windows 10. When you open DS4windows, it's going to look like this after you click start. You're going to click on edit, and now the same thing. You're going to click on a button. You can click on what you want it to be on the keyboard and mouse. So one thing about doing it this way is that you have to start the game using your controller, because your actual mouse isn't going to work. If you use your actual mouse, your controller is not going to work. So one thing you want to do is on the right stick, if you're emulating the mouse, you're going to want to go over here, change your mouse sensitivity, and then set this number to 255 in all 4 directions. The next thing you're going to want to do is on the right stick, go over to output curve, set this to enhanced precision. On the left stick, come over to outer bind and set this to left shift. And in Valorant, you're going to want to come over to controls, actions, default movement mode, set that to walk. On gyro, go over to output mode, set this to mouse, triggers always on, or you can set a trigger. You can adjust this number for whatever you're comfortable with, and go over to trackpad, set this to controls, so that way you don't touch the trackpad and make it move the mouse. The last thing is shift modes. The way you do shift modes on here is when you click a button, you go over to shift mode, select shift trigger, whatever you want the shift mode to be. So let's say you want your normal up to be the button P. So I set up to P. You click on up again. Let's say when you're holding down X, you want this to be O. So you're going to set the shift trigger to X, which is square on here. And then you're going to want to click O. Now when I press it normally, it'll be P, and when I hold down square or X, it'll be O. The last thing you want to do is click on settings and uncheck swipe touchpad to switch profiles. And that should be everything. Now this might take you a while to set up, because you're going to want to make sure you have every bind and game set that you're going to need, and that it all feels natural, that you can hit whatever target you need to. But once you're done with that, you should be able to just play the game just like you would in anything. Instant 180s.
Watch this!
And you can click on heads just like.
Nailed them. Blocking sight. Your fault. Blocking sight.
One enemy remaining.
3.